Neil Lante Vanderpuye is a member of parliament for the Ododo-Dio constituency. He is in the studio with Kwabna Mankwesiama, who is a member of parliament for Fantiakwa. Fantiakwa what?
North.
North. How are you, sir?
Yeah, by the grace of God.
All right, sir. There's a story on the front page of Ghanaian Times. I know it's not part of the pack. It's about the MPC advocating for a 3-child policy. It's because we're not expanding our cities enough. The population growth is a concern. Economic growth vis-a-vis the ratio to how many children we should have, etc. It's impeding on the quality of life of the children. I don't know. I mean, generally, just share your thoughts before we move on to the main substantive issues. As you thank your constituents, you greet them this morning. What do you make of this issue, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to shout a very good morning to your viewers and listeners, especially people from Fantiakwa, North and South. What is the population decision now as Ghanaians? How do we take that? Somebody is suggesting that 3 children per a family.
The head of the National Population Council, not just somebody.
The Population Council, yes, is suggesting that we have 3 per family. We are becoming like China, where it's 1 per family. Is it good or bad? What I can say for now is when population grows exponentially, it affects the economy of any nation for that matter. Because when population grows that fast, it overtakes decision and policy, and it becomes a burden on the economy of the nation. Should we start now to control our population? I would say population control started long ago, yes, when people started agitating that the rate at which we are growing is somewhat a border, and that we should try to limit growth. It's good that we are limiting growth. PPAG started long ago advising families to use all manner of sexual mechanisms and yes, reproductive health
means
to control their population. Let's look at it that way. Has it helped so far people who engage in the PPA programs? What have been the benefits? And I can tell you, with the middle class, they will confirm that yes, it has helped them. Those who have had 2, 3, and at most 4 in the middle class.
At most 4. 4 is huge.
Oh, some people who are well-to-do, sometimes when they get some positions over and above what they thought they could reach, they add 1 little. That is what they normally call the pension babies. When they are getting to pension and they know they've made it and they have all the wherewithal to take care of a 4th one. Some do add, but others maintain the status quo of 2 and 3. They are saying that 4 is a crowd. Yes, some people say so, but yes, depending on the economy of a nation, making sure that you sort of don't give birth to too many children is something that every family must consider. Because the more you bring them out, the difficulty it becomes, and the burden becomes on you to take a good care of them. Good schools are very expensive, and to train a child, for that matter, to come out to the expectation of the family in terms of education and information and literacy, you have to make sure that you do what it takes to make sure you bring up children that you can take particular care of and make sure that they grow to your expectation. Yes, in the villages, it is not like that, actually, because sometimes there are no social amenities that enjoins them to stay maybe late, and though they get tired when they go to farms and things, but as early as 7 o'clock, they will be in their various rooms. And you can imagine what happens in rooms when daddies and mummies are sleeping, and even in the olden days when people wanted to give birth to 10 in order to take a sheep. It was something that PPAG couldn't control in the
All the
villages. But
all right.
considering how the middle class have taken good care of their children, I think it's trickling down. Now, when you go to the villages, people are complaining of their husbands worrying them to have more children, or their wives, the other hand, worrying them to have more children. But people are saying that no, I don't want to because I can't take good care of them, and using quintessential examples as to how people have been able to, with small families, train their children, educate them, and how they are enjoying the benefits and of their children. So it's good we control our population, but to say 3, let's leave it to the families to decide, but the education must be intensified, especially in the rural area. When you say 3, somebody would like 1 or 2, but you see at most 3 population, yes. It's good, but let's leave it to the families for now, because we are not overly populated, and yes, we are not overly populated. The numbers also determines growth. Sometimes with some people are, when you go to Italy now, when you go to Switzerland now, they are even begging people. Yeah, they are Denmark, Finland.
Japan, they are encouraging people to have more sex so that they can give birth,
yes,
etc.
that is the point. So for now, I would say that people are coming up of their senses as to not to give birth to too many people in a home. Education must be intensified, and the research must go on. He has blown it out. Let's consider it and work on it. PPAG is there, and the Population Council is also working out.
Dr. Alex Bamford of the Social Marketing Foundation even wants it to be limited to 2. He says that our target was 3, but so far we're around 4.2. What do you think? The young couples who would want to give birth?
Let me also take the opportunity of saying a very good morning to the people of Ododo and Kamashi, Ashebdu Keteke in particular, and to all my friends across the country. I totally agree with my brother on this issue. It's one of the issues we discussed when we were doing a course together, synchronizing population growth with development, socio-economic development. The baseline on this discussion has to do with availability of resources. If the state, looking at its economic strength, think that we have enough resources in order to sustain development and social welfare programs that go with exponential growth in population, fine. Like you said, other countries are advocating for more children, more increase in population, because they think that the balance between population and the facilities they have is not there. Other countries are also saying that let's keep population growth in control so that we can have what I can say but the key issue in this situation has to be with advocacy. You cannot really enact a law in this country, because whatever policy direction you take in this country has to take into cognizance our socio-economic, cultural and traditional perceptions and also adherence. So it's going to be difficult for you to take a very serious social problem like this just as a policy direction. It has to do more with advocacy, and advocacy that depends on educating people, having role models, setting examples to, even within cultural settings, for people to know that because he has few children, all things being equal, you work in the same establishment, you stay in the same community, you have the same facilities, but because he had 1, 2 children, he's able to take good care of his children, whilst you are unable to do so because of the number of children you have. All things being equal. We must do an advocacy and education, as he said, more of what we call theater for development. where you use performances, where you use drama, where you use visuals to educate people, to let people understand, especially talking about some of our illiterate societies. They must see something. They always want to see a conviction that depicts their realities before they can take this thing on board. It will be difficult for us to just talk about these things at the level of me and you and then think that this thing will catch fire. Because Roland, from where me and you come from, it will be difficult for anyone to stand out there and through radio and television think that they are going to succeed with this policy.
I grew up in Ashaman, with plenty.
Yes, it's difficult. You see,
it's difficult just now.
When you go to communities like my community, where a young girl of 14 who has no child is virtually taunted, harassed, mocked by her contemporaries of being barren, even at 14 years.
Yeah.
So young girls, in order to avoid those humiliation, those harassments,
those taunts,
you know, under peer pressure, want to have children. Yeah, we were having an argument last week, and I was saying that at my age 52, I think it's too early for me to be a granddad. You know, talking about my daughter who has had a child and all those things. And then one woman told me at the funeral, "What are you talking about? There are girls who are 30 years, 28, who are grandmothers." I was shocked. I live in a community, but that is not real to me. I remember very well when we used to, as a journalist, I used to follow the president to cover assignment. And then there was this launching of a Winimex program in somewhere in Accra. I don't want to mention the name. And so we were distributing this Winimex rice beans, you know, and all these things for the minority children. Mm. And then there was this young girl in the queue with a young baby at the back. And she was in the queue struggling. So the former first lady then, you know, said, "That girl, you should bring her so that we'll take a look. She's struggling." So when she gets, "Where's the mother that you are carrying?" I said, "Namo Jimani. Mina Jambini, in a tenone." Meaning that's the third one. When we were surprised, we thought that she was carrying her sister because the mother was not available. She told us that's the third one. So what's age? It's 18. 18. Third one. So the society itself thrives on those things. And like my brother said, gone are the days where people talk about nomato, bedouin, and all those things. It's a pride for the woman to have children. They think that if you can bear children for your husband, it helps. It makes your husband love you more. Two, it's also because of our system of inheritance. You understand? Assuming from the patrilineal side of our society, should have
only females.
Only females. It becomes a problem. You understand?
Nobody to inherit Vanderpuye.
Yeah. So they marry and they go away and they are gone. They are gone. So it's difficult. All these things, all these cultural issues should critically be looked at. And I'm happy. You know, last Saturday graduation at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, the Minister of State in charge of tertiary education said something critical. That
where you graduated?
Yeah. She said something very critical that, look, journalism cannot be taken out of the context of our cultural setting. So that when you are reporting and you are making stories, don't look at just the tangential issues. Look beyond the stories. Find out whether those things have some relationship with our culture and tradition. Then you'll be able to help people embark upon what we call development communication. So this issue is fine. But to be frank with you, if we don't use our social organization, churches, religious bodies, traditional authorities, you know, in some of our rural areas, our own traditional people to really pick up this, and it comes from people like us, be sure that you get the people to rebuff when it will not be successful. Because PPAG has been most effective in our urban areas, not in the rural areas. I have worked with PPAG for some time when I was young, during my secondary school days, on voluntary work. It's difficult to go to rural areas. Even the issue of condom has become a big problem.
Even urban. Even educated people.
You understand?
Couples,
so it is something that we have to be very careful about. But to me, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. But the key issue also has, even if you take the Islamic faith, it's that you can have as many as 4 wives. But there's a caveat. If you can take good care of them equally. It didn't even say if you can take good care of them. That is, if you can take good care of them equally, you will not discriminate and all those. So we have to look at it very well.
All right. Let's move on. There's a development over the last 12 hours, and this was tackled on Newsnight yesterday. Apparently, the Ashanti Regional Minister has given close of day today to release equipment, or has been given close of day today to release equipment belonging to engineers and planners or face legal action. But we know that's captured on the front page of the Daily Guide, the subject of Ibrahim Mahama chased out, and basically talks about Ibrahim Mahama, who is the boss of EMP Engineers and Planners, who has been subcontracted. And according to a story by the Daily Guide, it says angry residents of Nyinehin in the Etrimampo-Nuya district of the Ashanti region prevented Ibrahim Mahama, younger brother of John Mahama. They add some political, there's a tabloid, so it's understandable, from going to a bauxite concession granted by his brother before he left office. Okay, but I mean, the thrust of the story is that heavy-duty mining equipment of engineers and planners were stopped from entering the forest for any mining operation. And we know that they are subcontracted for Exton Cubic Group Limited to mine bauxite, and has therefore prevented the heavy-duty machines from entering the location. Do you know about the story?
Yes.
Okay. Can you speak to it, especially?
Well, first, let me say this. You and I are trained journalists. You think this is good journalism?
It's a tabloid. It's acceptable.
No, but you see, that is my problem. Because
in the world of journalism, tabloids...
Well, tabloids do not ascribe to rules. Is that what we are saying?
Well, they ascribe to some rules,
ethics.
but they have some slants.
We have ethics of journalism. That should be there.
Yes. Right.
This is virtually useless journalism. Useless journalism, to be frank with you. I just talk about the advice given by a senior media practitioner. He is even not a journalist. Media practitioner. The brother is a journalist. The Minister of State for Tertiary Education. Look, the issue here, Ibrahim Mahama even is a subcontractor of the company.
Well, the paper says that the company belongs to him.
You see? You see, I don't know, but it all in this scheme, grand scheme, of discrediting the name Mahama.
But this is the reality.
Form.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
I'm coming to that. What I'm saying is that touch Ibrahim Mahama and you've touched John Dramani Mahama. That's all. That's the grand scheme. Let's look at the substance of the issue. This is a company, Exxon Cubic, who have gone through the process, legitimate legal process of acquiring a concession. They started working on the concession as far back as November 2012. Through they've gone through all EPA, geological survey, and everything that is done under the laws of this country. Peter Mewu, the Minister for Mines, if he's that convinced that the people have not gone through the legitimate process, will not finally issue a certificate for them to move in just this June. You understand? It is not John Dramani Mahama who is in power. So the MPP government itself Because once the person has gone through it is difficult for you to truncate it. By the mining law, they've gone through, you've gone through exploration and all, they've gone through what we call a feasibility, they've done all this and you've gone through the process. And then a letter has been issued already. So, what is even more intriguing in all this is because they've not really started the prospecting. They've not.
No, they're just conveying.
Yes. So why do you seize the equipment? Why do you just move in and seize it? Because the equipment belongs to Ibrahim Mahama. If you have a problem with a concession, deal with the people who have been given the concession, that's the company. Write to them and say that I have a problem with this because of what we are doing, the operation we are embarking upon. So hold on, even though you have a legitimate concession, hold on. We must do things right in this country. We must put this issue of vindication, vilification, witch hunting, behind. And let people, because we are talking about Ghanaian business here. This business is going to employ people. This business is going to help us in the prospecting of bauxite, which this government itself has put a priority on in order to work on our consolidated aluminium industry. So why this undue witch hunting, and then Daily Guide will give prominence to it and then name Ibrahim Mahama and not even touch on the company? It is bringing his picture and all those things. It is absolute trash.
Oh.
Yes.
This is not journalism.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's journalism.
Your speech.
I'm saying that I'm not going to be charitable to Daily Guide.
Your speech is not ethical.
How? Okay, I withdraw the trash. And in parliamentary language, sincerely apologize.
Yeah, this is absolutely rubbish.
Thank you. I'm happy.
I want to bet you to see whether you.
No, he has withdrawn that word.
Okay.
No, but
anyway,
he has given me a much more appropriate word.
That is even more dangerous and more understandable.
Okay, this is chaff. This chaff.
It's all the same. Trash.
Garbage.
So I plead. I will ask our former colleague, the Ashanti Regional Minister, that he should use much diplomacy. Yes, Isaac. A very fine.
Yeah, I know.
Very fine. Nice.
He used to be a guest on the show,
nice,
so
but very aggressive. Very aggressive.
He has this very cool.
Yes, but very aggressive.
On point.
I think he was with the. Is it ECOWAS Parliament?
Yes, ECOWAS Parliament. He's one of the prominent vice.
Deputy Speaker.
I will want him. I heard him speak. When issues happen between two colleagues, two ministers, I think the radio should not be the right platform for them to address.
The media should not.
The media shouldn't be, because they are in government. I've been in government before. I wasn't happy with some of the decisions taken by my colleagues, but I don't come on the radio to know. It's not good for PR. It's not good. So I'll ask him. I'm always a nice man, just like him. Behind the closed doors, they should sit down. There's nothing wrong with inviting the minister for natural resources to his office and then sit down and then discuss this issue. And then the minister will be able to explain to him why that decision and why this. But then to come out radio and say, I'm not going to take any verbal call from him and all those things. Colleagues, we must try. So I think this thing have not been handled well, and I think they better do it well.
On the other hand,
I know you don't want to talk.
If you touch anything concerning the environment, you touch at lives of individuals. Denuding the forest is nothing that any Ghanaian and any living person, no matter where you live, would take it kindly. And
you're not saying that's why the Ashanti Regional Minister is reacting this way. He says that he doesn't have the papers.
No. Let me come to it. I'm talking about the needing the forest and the environmental impact on life. This suggests that when we are dealing with instances like somebody going into the forest and start prospecting or mining, must be taken care seriously. Due diligence must be done. That, I can assure you, is the most important thing if you touch anything concerning the environment. I think that is exactly what the regional minister is doing. The minister is savvy, he's servant, and sagacious. And he's redoubtable, I tell you. He takes things cool, but he's firmly on the ground and will stick to his decisions, provided he knows that what he's doing is right. You can't push him around. What he's doing is in no way trying to limit the law. No. He wants the law to take its own course, but he's making sure that due diligence here is being done. Stopping
appropriateness.
Stopping EMP doesn't mean he has stopped every activity of the rightful prospectors or miners. No, not at all. But he is in charge of the region. And if you are going to touch a forest reserve, he has every right to make sure that he's totally convinced before activities thereon starts. This is exactly what he is doing. As to the minister who has given the license to Exxon, yes, fine. If you have your license, nobody therefore can stop you. The recent brouhaha about miners, illegal miners, you stop them and they mine from behind you and things like that. In the night, they will use chamfire and things on our rivers, and because they don't have the wherewithal to chase them in the middle of the river and things like that in the night. It's worrying, you see. And if you can't stop the war, you have to bring those who are doing it to the conduct of war. It's like mining. If you can't stop mining, bring the people to the conduct of mining, right? So exactly what conduct of mining is to make sure that people are entering the forest area with all the documentation that they need. Exxon took the license. E&P is going to mine. Yes, I don't know E&P. Yes,
E&P is not going to mine.
E&P is going to mine for Exxon.
No.
But what were the
E&P is offering their equipment for Exxon.
It is the same thing.
In mining. No,
no. Excuse me. They are using E&P equipment.
Yes.
Right. I sitting here, the regional minister sitting in his office wouldn't know that.
Are you saying that the equipment of EMP is going to be operated by
EMP?
Excuse me. EMP has been supplying equipment even to Ashanti Gold.
I understand. The insignia.
What I'm saying is that is there personnel who man the equipment?
Yes.
But the mining company will tell them, do this, do that.
So the mining is done.
The mining is done by the company. Yes.
Okay. Yes, they are using. They've hired.
So rather up on this subject.
Yes, but the minister sitting down and getting the information from the ground wouldn't know this. All that they would tell the minister is, oh, EMP is mining, because they have their insignia on the equipment. And looking from our eyes, that is what you see. You won't see Exxon, right? So what he did is perfect. Nobody can begrudge him for acting in that manner. I've told you that he is somebody who must be respected. He has all the
I respect him.
I want us to subject this to a lot of analytical discussions. If it had been any other...
He hasn't concluded.
Oh, he has finished.
I haven't.
Okay, so let me minutes. No, let me have
wait. No, I'm not saying that I'm not going to talk about it in a manner that you think I should talk about it. But I'm only explaining why the action was taken by the minister.
Yeah. You have been diplomatic.
So let me ask you one question.
I'm not being diplomatic. Yes, I'm not being diplomatic for it. I'm being
playing the devil's advocate.
That is the point.
If it had been any other company's equipment and not EMP, what will happen?
No. The company
we don't know. There's no other company.
If there were to be any other sign on the equipment, right? Not
EMP.
That of Exxon.
Not that
of Exxon.
EMP. It was EMP. Insignia that was
that is the issue. And I'm saying that if we were to be any
and you know the insignia, they have this miner's head.
Any other company's insignia on the equipment, that company might have been, the person reporting might have quote the insignia on the equipment to the minister, right? Yeah. Yes. So it's not that it's because of its ESP.
Because it's
No. it happens that his equipment has his insignia on it, and everybody knows
it's like the
about
same thing
it.
we are doing with this
So
road toll thing, because it is Jospo.
No,
So everybody,
don't go there.
no, it's the same thing.
If you will come there, fine. But if don't go there, don't compare.
No, we're not going. Actually, we're not discussing it.
This is the law.
I'm a party to the subject, so we're not discussing.
Oh, you are?
Yes,
Yes,
you
I am.
I didn't know.
This is
I
the
think both
law.
of you know that.
The
Declare your interest.
The regional minister is doing due diligence to what is happening on the ground. He has been informed that EMP's equipment are here. They are going to mine. No, why? I don't have any instruction that EMP has been given any license to mine in the forest. Oh, they are going to the forest? No, stop them. Let me find out. Let me do my checks. Let me make sure that they have the license before they mine. What is wrong about this? If you had not done this, right, and afterthought, somebody might have come to say, Exxon might have come to say, hey, EMP is mining our concession. Then they would say that, oh, then the minister, why did you let that happen?
No, you're talking about
when they were
scenarios
entering the
because
forest.
you don't think that
You didn't
EMP
do
will
any-
move its equipment right from across wherever the equipment was to a mining area.
The
and
scenarios you are
Yes.
setting
What I'm
are
saying, no, they are
serious.
not. So the minister must make sure that what is happening in the forest, right, is authentic, and they have all the necessary licenses to make sure that they are mining, right?
So
and
you're saying it's appropriate?
It's appropriate. They have given the authority to UMP to mine.
They are not mining.
They've
not even entered the concession.
They have they hired their equipment.
But if you have a district
they were going to
district
enter
capital,
the-
all
they
of
were
a
going
sudden
to
this
enter.
huge mining equipment start
in.
coming.
I will
It will
suggest
raise
that-
alarm bells.
I will even suggest that all these excavators must be moved with license. You have to license excavators.
But
I'm
who-
telling
but
you,
who said they are not
all
licensed?
of them
They are
are
But who said they are not licensed?
All of them are licensed.
And in a manner that wherever they happen to be going must be known.
Let me-
And they must be tracked. For that matter, all excavators must be tracked. Right? E-tracked. So that somebody sits in the office and know that number GX so and so
And then
is
some of
going
the-
here.
The
And so that
tracking
they
is a
will know the
preserve of
movement.
the individual company.
No,
They use it-
government can say that, no, we are tracking excavators. Yes, for where we are now,
Because of the security implication of the mining
It is very,
activity.
very important we do the tracking. You will do it, but we will manage it. So that we will, yes, buy an excavator. And yes, buy an
So that
excavator.
even if
no.
If my
and tag it with
excavator
that,
is meant for
The
road
company I work for, we
construction.
do a lot of tracking. So I'm wondering how come it will become a security issue, because it means that because we monitor our own tracking system.
That is the point. So government can be monitoring excavators, and it will be okay. It will be, yes. Where we are now, we should do that because they are all over.
Very soon you'll be
We are
asking
the
that
president. The
very soon
president
you'll
said
be-
that
you'll
no.
be asking
The
that
former
we should even
president
track the
listen,
movement of ice water bottles.
The former president
Because
said that
people are
we have
polluting.
more excavators in Ghana than all the excavators put together in West Africa, and he was worried before he was leaving. He said this. He said it was worrying him that the excavators in
The president
Ghana.
told you that.
Yes, President Bahama, former President Bahama. He said the excavators in Ghana together is more than all the excavators in West Africa.
How did he come to that conclusion?
He
Because-
said it.
because a lot
he
of-
said it.
Have you
So
wrapped up?
they were denuding.
see,
all right.
They are
Yeah.
denuding our forest,
but-
and they need to check them.
Okay.
I
If
don't
it
have
is
any problem.
Exxon will have its license, and Exxon
Roland.
will mine. But let's make sure that they are mining through the use of EMP equipment. For that, let's leave it to the ministers. They've not.
I don't have
crashed,
any problem.
But
they
if
are
the
all
minister
doing
says
the same
that,
thing.
My district chief executive in the region in which I have supervisory mandate
Authority,
or authority has cited these influx of equipment, then as a minister I should be worried. Where are they
Yes.
going? More so when I haven't been informed formally, even though, of course, by phone, now we know that apparently they had had some informal discussions.
With the Minister of Mines.
Yeah.
You see, that's my problem. You see, colleague, unless you don't trust your colleague.
This is not about trust.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
about due
Because,
diligence.
It's about
due diligence.
Ezema, when me and you, we are not even colleague ministers,
Yes.
but we were classmates.
Yes.
Something is happening, then I call you. I say, oh, this is when I know that you are the one who is responsible for it, and then you give me your point, then I still go behind what you have told me to undertake another option. it means that I don't trust what you told me.
I'll be helping you then.
Oh, how you
I'll be helping by making sure that the people are well
the help
informed.
I'm looking for is the information and the knowledge I'm acquiring from you, and you give me. If you give me and I'll go behind what you have given me, it means that I don't see yours as being competent enough.
People in the village, when they see engineers and planners, it won't come to off in their minds that
the minister, the minister is not people in the village.
EMP that is mining.
The minister is not people in the village.
Due diligence must be done so that the people will be informed and informed well.
The process of mining is said that wherever you are going to mine, wherever the concession is, when you get in there, you register also with the district assembly. You understand me? So the registration of the district assembly then comes straight to the regional coordinating council for final ratification and approval.
Some people don't. You have to.
So I'm saying that
you call them to order.
So I'm saying that when you call your minister, your colleague minister, and the minister confirmed that they've been given due license and this is what they're going to do, is it not enough for you to just allow the equipment to go? But for you to come out and say, I will never release the equipment until the minister writes and all those things to me, he has to come to my office and it doesn't
You have been a minister before. This is the proper thing to be done.
No.
This is the proper thing to be done.
No.
You have to take note of every
listen.
No, the thing is that a number of ministers, I think allied ministers, had been informed.
Yes.
Even the Forestry Commission, they had given.
But the regional minister has not been written to.
Even the district assembly here.
Listen,
one of them
has the letter.
Has the regional minister been written to? Did you have that information?
No.
That is what
the minister said.
He wants to put it on.
Prior to him receiving that call from the district chief executive, he had some communication with the minister for lands and natural
I'm not privy to that information.
No, he said it.
He said it himself.
Yes,
that's
did
what
you
I'm
listen
saying.
to it?
I did.
So
even this morning before I got here, I listened to it on Joy.
So, colleague minister, write to me officially. What's wrong about this?
I guess
there's nothing wrong.
Due diligence.
That's all.
I'm saying this. You see, in corporate world, in this day, in corporate world, even bank, first you have to take your checkbook to the bank. Now, telephone call, you can withdraw cash. Telephone call, we can withdraw cash.
Because you have an account number.
It depends. It depends on the type of client you are.
Yes, I'm saying that.
And even because you have
this is not somebody. It's not somebody who's just walking through a hole. This equipment, this is a mining company that's going to work in your area. And I'm saying that there will have been a much more diplomatic way of handling this than the sort of radicalism I've seen. It doesn't help. I'm saying that let's try as much as possible to liaise with Ghanaian industries, Ghanaian companies very well. I don't think anybody would have done the same to any foreign company. I don't think it would have happened.
Oh, don't say
Look, because as soon as you do that, you go to court. The person, even one day, seizing equipment one day, the person will go to court. And it will be cost to all of us. So I'm thinking that Isaac is a nice guy. What has happened between him this morning when I listened to him and the tone of his voice?
You mean Samuel?
Simon. It's very much him, though the person I know, but then not fit for the position he's holding today. Oh no, it's Roland. I have not said it.
Yeah, but you said that.
Don't put words in my mouth. Roland said it.
So
your former colleague is our chairman.
So somebody who always would like the right thing to be done. He shouldn't see the right thing. He should move away.
The right thing being done. The right thing being done in the right and proper way.
You have been a minister before.
And I'm saying that. Okay,
listen.
So
the Minister of Education may make an announcement. Listen. May make an announcement that everybody should pay 600 cedis when going to SS.
You are talking about far-fetched scenario. We're talking about something else.
Yeah, previously, you go to the headmaster. The headmaster will tell you that he has said it, but you have not been written to.
But that's not the same.
Wait,
These
it's
ones
the
are
same.
colleagues.
It's the same thing.
That master cannot just call the minister and or the minister.
He wants a written note that, oh, this has been given.
What if the minister called that headmaster?
Those institutions.
He won't do it. A very good headmaster will not
those
act
institutions like
upon
Minister of
a
Education,
telephone
institutions
interaction
like
or conversation with them. I'm sure, I'm very sure.
Depends on
I am
memos.
very, very
Okay, let's
sure.
move the
Depends on
subject.
memos
It's
from
okay.
the
I know this one is a raging
No.
issue. It's still the equipment are still under lock and key, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Whether it will be released or not.
But
Let's look at this.
Eston say if by the close of day today,
him so much.
if by the close of day today,
You like Ibrahim Ahmad?
It will depend on the information
like
that
Ibrahim
you
Ahmad?
will receive. Due diligence is good.
International relations expert Dr. Vladimir Ntridanso has urged President Kufuor to also use diplomacy to resolve bitter conflicts between President Faure Nyasigbe of Togo and the leadership of the main opposition parties. And apparently, they had been able to marshal enough forces onto the streets. They did that from over the weekend. It led to some deaths, I'm told 7, and some injuries subsequently. And it's just in protest of the over 38-year rule, or some are saying, is it 50-year rule?
Yeah, almost
Okay.
50. 35 for the father and 15 now.
Ah!
Yeah.
Right. Of the Nyasingbe, no, of the Yadima family. And now looks to be some, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa says that Ghana does not mediate between the government of Togo. It says if government does not mediate the government of Togo and its opposition, the country will not be spared the consequences of a full-blown conflict. Is that true? There's a question we have to ask ourselves.
I have a problem that this is happening in Africa at this time.
You mean sub-Saharan Africa?
Well,
Because we've had some in Tunisia,
that's what I'm
Algeria.
saying. You see, the credibility of African democracy and African governments have always been brought into question. When
Even if
people-
duly elected?
I'm saying people who are duly elected sometimes become democratic autocrats, democratic dictators. They want to change the rules. It nearly happened in Nigeria.
It has happened in Rwanda.
It has happened in Rwanda. It has happened in Zimbabwe and all this. And these things are not good for our development. I think Ghana, and I will comment all of us as a country, has been a shining example to Africa. And I was expecting African countries to emulate. We are the black star of Africa. And as such, if we have set an example, I was expecting African countries to emulate and to follow us. And for a closed-door neighbor, any wind that blows from Ghana gets into Togo. In fact, today, if you are using your phone and you get into Adaklu, it will be MTN Togo. You understand? It means that we are so close to each other that anything that happens in Togo could have possible ramifications for us. Look at the problems we had taking care of the Ivorian refugees, Liberian refugees. Even Togo, it happened. So I would say that what is happening in Togo should be of concern to all of us. There are so many Ghanaians who actually sleep in Ghana and work in Togo. There are so many Ghanaians who have their windows in Togo and their doors in Ghana. So it is important that we look at this thing critically. And it's of concern to us. And I seriously will agree with the positions taken by Dr. Vladimir Ntridanso and Sami Okujeto Ablakwa for our president to intervene in what is happening. I think he's not helping himself. During the time of his father, there were agitations against his long reign. And he agreed. He entered into negotiations with Gikris Olympio and the rest on a maximum term. The constitution was rewritten to give 2 terms of 5 years each for every president. Then, along the line, just when he passed, the military regime that took over tore the constitution to pieces, installed his son. And then the son came in, his 2 terms is just about to end, and then the constitution has been changed again to elongate his term. You know, you give people that I can't say in Sota Ponchenia or Jiho. People become fed up, people become tired with the tendency for you to virtually fester yourself on them without their. Let people express their will, because you are one person against majority of the people. You can't claim to be the most competent person in the whole country. Give them the opportunity to say that you are competent. So we are reinvesting our trust in you. But you don't fester yourself on them. So I will say the whole of ECOWAS and also Africa. African presidents must use the peer review mechanism that they adopted and signed onto to impress upon him to respect the constitution, and so that it will bring peace to Togo. Knowing the Togolese as we've seen this happening, it is not going to. I don't think the Togo of his father is the same Togo today. Togolese of today, looking at what is happening in Ghana and other parts of the country, will not just sit down and allow him to change the constitution and go ahead. What has happened is just the beginning. And I'm sure if Africa and the rest of West Africa does not intervene to make sure that peace prevails in Togo, subsequent days will not be good for all of us. It will put pressure on Ghana. And one thing our president should tell him is that if he doesn't work to bring peace to his country, we are not ready. And we will not be ready to take the backlash of such actions in Togo, because we don't have the resources to be maintaining people again in this country after what we've seen from Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo itself.
Mr. Kobne, I don't know about whether we can take it, because we have porous borders with the Republic of Togo. We go to the Volta region, we have
in Togo and the door in Ghana.
We actually
are like one family.
Those people will not have a problem. Those people will not have a problem. They can easily come to their families.
No. We have many entry points which are very much unguarded.
All the others will come. When you go to Paga, when you go to the northern Togo, they also live like a family. They speak the same language.
I'm saying
and
those
they
who
are
don't
together.
have family and relations here in
when there was a clash in the north, they also moved to Togo, northern Togo, to settle the. If you could remember, in the previous regime, in your regime, there was a clash between.
I don't have a regime.
Okay, the NDC, the previous NDC regime. You can fool some people all the time.
Africa, will I use the regime?
All the people.
The military.
All the people for some time, but not all the people all the time. Time has caught up with the Eyadema family, and it's high time they realized that they cannot go far beyond where they are at the moment. I'm telling you, they can't take it easy any longer. And with his exuberance, I think he will have to redefine himself and the future of the Eyadema family, because people are wide open, and they cannot live to see one family taking them for a ride for all these years. But that notwithstanding, I would say that African governments or the peer review mechanism it's not up to the task. Some of these things should have been known by African presidents by now. Look at what is happening in Rwanda. Do you think Paul is the only wise man in Rwanda? You can sit behind and make a meaningful contribution as a father. We are endowed with about 3 ex-presidents. Recently, Nana Addo called them all the economic at the Economic Forum. You can seek, right, ideas, views, solutions, you see, from them, and make sure that the nation moves ahead. You cannot say that you are the only wise person who must rule by all means possible, right? You see, some of these things,
Congo. It's happening
people,
in Zimbabwe.
It's high time they became proactive and make sure that they call some of these presidents to order and tell them that though they, as he said, democratic, they are democratically elected, yet they are entrenching themselves on the people, and the overuse of themselves on the people will blow out. It is not only in Africa, it's happening elsewhere. So why are we still trying to make sure that we foist ourselves on our people? It is not the best. The Eyadema family is, yes, they have done it.
How can President Akufo-Addo intervene?
Oh yes, we are very close. They are the closest. No, he can even call him personally, because Togo and Ghana, we are like brothers. It's like Ghana and Ivory Coast, Ghana and Nigeria. You see, we are first and foremost brothers before it comes to West Africa, right, at large. So Nana can call him, I think, which he will do. And Fo should know that with his age, he can even say he will go for the next 30 years.
And he'll still be
But time is not on his side. The people have started the agitation, as my brother said. And it's not going to end today or tomorrow.
My time is up.
It's going to grow. It's going to grow. So he makes sure that
I know, but Vanderpuye wanted to have a bite. It's okay.
Yes.
Neil Ante Vanderpuye is a member of parliament for the Odododio constituency. Thanks for joining me, Boss Vanderpuye. And then also, Kwabna Mankwesiama is a member of parliament for Fantiakwa North. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. I've enjoyed the discussion.